With the winter coming on and this cold weather approaching, you know you're craving for something awesome in regards to comfort food. Well, today on Sonya's Sweet and Spicy Kitchen, I've got the perfect recipe to take your squash to the next level. We've got our acorn squash, we have our butternut squash, and oh, what? Hello? Yeah, we're doing this recipe. I'll call you back. We've got some squash going on in the kitchen today, and I'm going to show you how to make this super easy recipe, a recipe that can extend itself into soups or just as a side dish. So let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome back to Sonya's Sweet and Spicy Kitchen. My name is Sonya Paz and I'm your spice master here today. And like I mentioned, we're going to be roasting squash in the oven. Now, you've probably tried cutting squash in the past, and it's a hard one because this thing, it's heavy, it's thick, it's a very robust squash, it's super dense, but the tastes are flavorful and it's awesome. Now, as you know, you've seen these in the grocery store and you kind of pass by and you give them that look like, I don't know about that thing. It looks really intimidating because they are big, but they are packed full of great vitamins and nutrients. And of course, they are super dense squash. So that means that it's going to be hearty like a potato, but it's going to be super flavorful, full of amazing flavors. And of course, I've got my acorn squash because they had one left. So I thought I would just kind of combine this and do a combination recipe, because when it comes to these flavors, everyone, it is so, it's comfort food. It's hearty and it's yummy. Now, I know if you've been to places like Panera or any of your, specialty markets, they have butternut squash soup, or they call it autumn soup or autumn comfort soup or whatever. Now, you can make this. What we're going to do today, though, is we're going to show you how to roast these so that you can add them to a soup later, or you can make a dip out of them, or just a side dish if you like to snack on this or serve it with rice. So this is going to be the basic recipe on how I'm going to roast these in the oven, and let's get started. So I've got a few key ingredients here. I have olive oil, I have nutmeg, I do have the juice of Sonya's Sweet and Spicy, and a little pinch of salt. Now the first thing is to get this bad boy to get sliced. Now, if you've been like me, you know that it's quite an endeavor to get this thing to be cut. It's not so much to cut it this way, but you've got to cut it this way. And you can roast them in the oven without cutting them, but I want to add those flavors in there. I want to rub in and prepare the open-faced butternut squash and the acorn squash. I'm going to get those into slices. So in order to do that, I'm going to have to slice this, and I'm going to have to core this and get all the seeds and all the little pulp out. So the first thing I'm going to tell you is you're going to need a fork, and you're going to need a very sharp knife. Now I have my super duper sharp knife here, which I'm probably going to use after I cut it long ways. But what I use to cut it long ways is this watermelon knife. It's super sharp. It's serrated very interestingly so that it makes it easy to cut it. So you know how watermelons are big and the rind is super thick? Well, it works well on squash. Now, we like to have a lot of watermelon in the summertime, so we use this, and it just makes cutting the watermelon super easy. If you haven't seen my hot and cool watermelon recipe, check up here, because that is probably not going to be right now here in the winter time, but check it out and bookmark it for the summer. So I'm going to take this, and now with all of my produce, I always wash it. I just do. This is being handled. They're coming into cross-contamination with a bunch of other fruits and stuff while being, put out into the produce area at your market. So I always wash this ahead of time. Now there's going to be a little two-part to this. We're going to poke a bunch of holes in here with my fork, because we're going to pop this in the microwave for about 2.5 minutes. And you need to have this aerate a little bit, so it's going to have a little pressure. And you just want to be sure to let that pressure escape somewhere. So I'm just going to stab the heck out of this thing here and not go overkill, but at least give it something so that it doesn't end up exploding in my microwave, because I don't feel like cleaning up a microwave full of squash. So you might notice that some of the little juices are going to start escaping. So you might see little beads of moisture coming out here. Don't worry, it's, you know, it's screaming for help, but it's not going to hurt anything. So you can just wipe that away. I'm going to put this on a plate. I'm going to put it in my microwave for about 2.5 minutes, and that's just going to help loosen everything up a little bit so that when I go to slice it, I'm not going to end up cutting off my finger. So let me do that real quick. Okay, so as you can see, I got my the bigger squash, the butternut squash, out of the oven or out of the microwave. So I'm going to just cut this way, and it's a little on the hot side, so I'm going to just slice that. And as you can see, this is super dense, and I'm going to cut each end off. I'm going to just cut off the one end. Now I'm going to reach for my big ginormous watermelon, because this is going to be a lot easier. All right, get in here. It's a little hot from the microwave, so I'm just going to continue to, there we go. My trusty watermelon knife. All right, gotta raise the sleeves up because I gotta get this thing cored out. As you see, this is super dense, and I have not gone ahead and peeled this. You can peel this, but the way I'm gonna roast this in there, it's just gonna slide right off of the shell or the skin. So I'm gonna just go ahead, I'm gonna get all of these seeds out of here. I'm gonna just pop these right into this bowl. If you have a serrated spoon, that probably would work too. But yeah, I'm just gonna go through this real quick, get these seeds out of here, and then we'll get to roasting and toasting here. If you're able to tell how bright orange this is, it's just an awesome color. It's like a mango color, it's beautiful. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start slicing these off into little sections. Oh, I don't wanna forget my, I'm gonna set this aside for a minute. I don't wanna forget my acorn squash, and chop this off. This is, you're gonna definitely need to core this one as well. Spin this around. I'm gonna go ahead and just do like this. Look at those, so yummy, so yummy. I should have got a bigger chopping board here. And I'm just gonna core these out. So now that I've got this cut, and I'm gonna do the same thing here, is when I lay these down flat, I'm able to get a better cut. You definitely don't wanna try to cut this way, because this is gonna be rolling around. You could peel the butternut squash ahead of time if you wanted to. I don't, because I know that I can just, once this is cooked, I can easily just scoop it out with a spoon. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna start just laying these out, put the acorn here. And usually I have a bowl on the side, but I didn't put one there today, which is fine. So I have, whoops, all my acorn here. And these are gonna all cook around the same amount of time. The thing that I found interesting on the acorn squash, it came with a little sticker that had directions on how to cook it. So maybe your grocer or maybe your supplier has that too, but you can always come back to my channel and figure this out. So we're gonna load this all up, scooch these up, they can get cozy together. There's always enough room here. It's not a race, so throw those there. We've got a few here. One butternut squash is gonna be very plentiful, but you know, if you're thinking about doing half now and half later, just go ahead and cook the whole thing now, because you don't want to be, there is a lot of prep involved, and I mean, as far as cutting it, so you don't want to be messing with that twice. So now what I have is, I have my olive oil, I have my Sonya's sweet and spicy. I'm gonna go ahead and just mix that in, just like this. I'm going to take my nutmeg, and you don't have to add nutmeg if you don't want to, and then I'm just going to do a little bit of salt. I'm going to sprinkle that in afterwards. So I'm going to mix this up here, mix it all together. Now, you can add, normally when I have, before adding Sonya Sweet and Spicy, I've gone ahead and I've added brown sugar. But since Sonya Sweet and Spicy, the juice has sugar in it, I'm not going to duplicate that. Plus, you're going to get the sweetness of the butternut squash. So I'm going to take my brush here and I'm just going to very, very generously drizzle this right, or spread this right on top. So I'm just going to go ahead and add a little bit on there. My husband needs low sodium, but we're just going to sprinkle a little bit. It's just going to add a little savoriness to the dish. It's not going to really hurt anything. So there you go. Is that a thing of beauty? We're going to put that in the oven at 375 for 40 minutes, and we'll be right back. All right, we are back, and this is amazing. It smells amazing. It smells sweet. It smells really yummy. I've gone ahead and give a little prick fork test. This is how you know if it's firm to the prick of your fork, then you know that it's pretty well cooked and ready to go. Now, the skin is going to be really easy to just peel right off. So I'm going to go ahead and peel all of these off, and then we're going to come back and I'm going to chop these up and we're going to try this out. So isn't this just amazing? You've got the beautiful yellow from the acorn squash, you've got the oranges from the butternut squash, it's got the smells of a little bit of nutmeg, the olive oil, the sweet and spicy, and it's this is definitely something that you can start making other dishes with. So I'm going to go ahead and give this a try and see. Give it a thumbs up. Well, there you have it, everyone. Acorn and butternut squash right there, roasted in the oven. Now I'm going to just say this because I know that some people probably want to peel this. It's hard to peel the acorn squash ahead of time because that once you cook it, that skin just kind of rolls right off. The butternut squash, depending on how ripe it is or how long you have to put it in the oven for, it might be a little easier to peel that ahead of time. I find that sometimes you can just scoop it right off, but sometimes the peels can be a little bit tricky and you might have to pop them in to the oven a little longer. So depends on how thick your slices are as well. So I want to let you know that. We did add the juice of our Sonya Sweet and Spicy. I'm going to tell you right now, this does not make it spicy. This just adds a nice little sugary coating to it, something that you can use instead of brown sugar. I don't want you to think this is some sort of hot butternut squash dish. It's just to add the sugars, the sweetness, the fusion flavors of the sweetness of your squash, in addition to all of the goodness of the nutmeg and the olive oil. So I'm going to go ahead and give this a try and see what we think here. Definitely got to do the happy food dance. Happy food dance. This is awesome. Now, if you were to add the brown sugar on this, I think it would be way too sweet because butternut squash is a very sweet squash. And the acorn squash, let's give that a try. To die for. I love it. I love this. You can serve this as a side dish. You can drizzle some more sweet and spicy juice on top before you serve it. Put it over rice. It's a complete vegetarian dish. If you want to make butternut squash soup, then you can add this to your vegetable stock and cook that over the stove. And then once everything just kind of comes to a boil, since this is already cooked, you don't need to be cooking over the stove a lot. So the hard work is already done, but put your chicken stock. I'll put the recipe in the show notes down below. And then what you're going to do is you're going to just take a little hand blender and you're going to blend it all together with some cream, maybe a few more spices, and you've got yourself an amazing butternut squash soup as well. So that is it, everyone. As you know, we My Sweet and Spicy is available online. We do ship nationwide, and we're at sonyasweetspicy.com. And I want you to engage with us not only here, write down comments down below, and I will always respond to comments, always. And check us out on Facebook, because Facebook, we can get some engagement going, and you can share recipes. I want to mention that Jerry, who I met in Patterson this weekend, who came to one of the pop-up markets that I was at, commented on my page on Facebook and said that she had tried it. She had melded it instead of pouring it over just the cream cheese, that she had actually mixed it within the cream cheese, and it was a win-win at her gathering that she had that night. So I love to hear comments that you can, mainly on Facebook, and of course on the YouTube channel, and of course on Instagram, because we love to engage with you on Instagram. Love to hear your comments. Love to have you hashtag us. So it's instagram.com/SonyaSweetSpicy, or just hashtag SonyaSweetSpicy. So that is it today, everyone. As you know, here in Sonya's Sweet and Spicy Kitchen, we are chopping and slicing, dicing and cooking, roasting and toasting. I hope you all have a good one. Stay tuned for next week. I'm gonna have an amazing dessert recipe for you that you're not gonna wanna miss. So that's it. Peace out, y'all. I'm gonna try more of this squash and get moving here. Bye.